in this practical lesson, I'm going to give you an example of creating a whole content lesson for one of my courses from scratch with the ChatGPT agent mode. Once again, I'm sorry that, the Google Drive interface is in Portuguese, but what we're going to do is go here, agent mode. We need to be logged in naturally because we're operating a Google Drive account. And I'm going to say, hi ChatGPT, please create a duplicate of the lesson income and expenses, which is about income and expenses for banks, and rename it with the suffix funds. Please replace the main lesson content with lesson content for income and expenses in hedge funds instead. So here I'm going to say what is hard-coded in every single one of the slides because I wanted to do the task more efficiently, right? But we could keep it open-ended. In the first two slides, just replace the content of the big text boxes. The titles are fine. In the two slides afterwards, which are the example one and the key takeaways one, in the examples and key takeaways slides, which come after, replace the bullet points and content with, respectively, examples for hedge funds instead of banks and key takeaways for the hedge fund lesson instead of bank lesson. Thank you. I'm going to clarify here. Rename, please create a duplicate and rename it. Then please go into the Google Slides file. Please replace the main lesson content with lesson content for income and expenses in hedge funds. So I'm getting a little bit technical here, but what I wanted to do is to take a lesson, which is about income and expenses in banks, and then to create a duplicate that is for income and expenses in hedge funds instead. Let's see how this operates, right? Last time it went into the list of files, right-click this file, then it did duplicate, and then it did rename. Let's see if it's congruent with last time. You can see also that the pointer shows what it's currently doing, preparing to duplicate the file. It's creating the copy. Once again, sorry that this is all in Portuguese, but if you've used Google Drive, you can derive from context what we're doing, right? So it created a copy, waiting for the copy to finish. Now it's going to rename it. Working very well. Fun fact, I forgot the space in the suffix, right? Funds. You can see that I literally wrote funds, in double quotes, but it kept in mind to include the space so that it's not on top of the previous word. Now it's opening the lesson, right? Oh, by the way, I made a mistake. There are 3 content slides and not 2 here. Let's see what happens, right? So this is an interesting case. I would not, reshoot the lesson with the correct prompt because now I really want to know what happens when you use the wrong prompt, right? What does it do? Is it going to recognize that we do have 3 different content slides instead of 2, and then the example slide, and then the key takeaway slide? Or is it going to try to, fit that specific format and wreck it all? I don't know, but this is fine. Opening a new tab using the proper method, capture the files link, and then opening it. Okay. I'm wondering what is it doing, okay? So it seems like it visited other web pages at the same time to get information on income and expenses for hedge funds so that it now can fill this with content, right? If that is true and it can replicate my style and, tone of text and everything else, this is honestly scary, right? Human element excluded from the equation. Check the structure and content, slides 3 and 4. Okay, right? So this is the crucial juncture, right? This is when it's recognizing, hey, where are the content slides and where are, the examples? Preparing the content and citations, very interesting. I did not give it any guidelines as to how it would create the content itself, right? Okay, so yes, we do have problems. It's copy pasting it, it's preserving this style in the copy paste, and then because of that, the text is small, right? Is it going to format it, right? Okay, sorry. I was wondering how I could, collapse that wall of text. Okay, so considers that it's done with slide 1, moving to slide 2. So at the end of the day, you see here, right, that there are formatting problems, but this is the kind of thing that you can add, for example, to the global widget instructions. Anytime that you copy paste something into a Google Drive file, make sure that you do that specific copy paste that does not preserve style, so that you just paste the raw contents, right? That could be a good indication. But again, I kept it open-ended. I did not tell it how to structure things, whether we should have multiple bullet points, whether we should have paragraphs, what to focus on, right? But you can see that it's synthesizing that content and copy pasting it, right? Move to slide number 3, right? Now the fun part. Slide number 3 is a content slide, not examples, right? Okay, replacing with bullet points based on hedge fund examples. So now we can see here that there's this mismatch because I told it the example slide is slide number 3 and it isn't, right? So now it's trying to shoehorn the examples into slide number 3. And now I'm wondering what's going to happen when it gets to slide number 4. Is it going to realize the mistake and roll it all back? Or is it going to try, to shoehorn slide number 5 into slide number 4? And you can also see there's a lot of mini iterations going on related to opening editing modes, closing text box, and that type of stuff, right? Once again, doing something related to the global instructions could help here. So what is it doing, right? It's targeting the coordinates of the content. Oh, it's targeting the coordinates of the object on screen to click that object and then replace it, okay? Editing content below the income and expenses section, not the title. Yes, very interesting, okay? So I'm gauging whether it's recognizing that we do have 3 examples and curiosities and whether it's going to replace them or not. Right now, it seems like it completely missed the cue and it's trying to shoehorn the key takeaways into the example, right? Yes. And there's a problem here because it thinks that it's editing the specific headline of the example, but it's editing the content, right? So it's pasting uppercase, all caps title that is the heading into the content part, right? So those are things that you can anticipate as well here, right? If you're not clear on how to select the objects, how to do things, then this may happen. Another choice could be force it to actively switch among different components using tab instead of a cursor. But again, then we get into a much more complicated thing, which is agent design, right? Should we even be using an agent for this instead of just having a template and then an automated, ChatGPT instance with a script with Google Drive's API integration to do this in an automated manner when you store the object IDs? Should we be doing this through the browser? That's another question. But even if we don't achieve the result that I want with this whole use case, you can see the potential of it, right? You can tell it, this is the specific type of thing that I want to do. Oh, it noticed the mistake and it's fixing it. This is awesome, right? It's like watching your kid win an achievement and it's very satisfying. And again, we do have a formatting problem here. Curiously, in the first one, it didn't have a formatting issue. I'm guessing that it's because the headlines, it comes up with the text, so it's not pasting. But the content comes directly from the website, and because of that, it's pasting, and because of that, the text size and properties, are problematic. And then we also have an issue here, which is that the titles that it's picking in this third example are too big for the text box. But here's the thing. I just wanted to go through the process and to see what happens. Now it seems to have replaced all of the content in the slide with a specific number, right? So we could see some hallucinations here. Okay, but it was able to go back and recover it, right? This has been a wild ride so far, right? You can see here that, okay, did it again. I'm guessing that this is almost like, a recipe for a cake. The intermediate steps may look very ugly, but then the final result is going to be, very nice. At least we hope. Despite the fact that we do have a problem here with a miscalculation of the total number of slides, it's putting the key takeaways into the examples. It put the examples as a paragraph into the third content slide, but that's on me, right? I give it the wrong prompt, but you can see what it's doing. It appears to be taking care of the task. I'm still curious as whether, it seems to be putting the key takeaways in the key takeaway slide. So I'm wondering now, does the example slide also have the actual examples? And does slide number 3 of content actually have content, right? And here's the thing, right? In many cases, even if this is not perfect, that's already pretty good, right? If somebody is creating this from scratch, right? Imagine, even if you have to reformat all of the text afterwards and you have to resize everything, it just did this for you, right? It's scary. Obviously, there's a lot of things here, right? You have to verify the information. It probably doesn't match your tone or style unless you tell it to. And at the end of the day, when people generate things just with Gen AI, people are going to know, right? Doesn't have that specific human touch or maybe a typo here or there. Like, in the example slide, I number them as 1, 2, 5 instead of 3. Gen AI can't do that. But at the end of the day, this already goes a long way, right? It's scary how much it did with such a simple prompt, right? Imagine, right? We just wrote this, right? We gave it access to Google Drive and we said, duplicate a file, rename it, rewrite all of the content within it to do it for hedge funds and do it this way. And save for some problems related to formatting. It's actually doing that, right? Which is very, very powerful at the end of the day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop it here because it already did enough, right? It's probably going to keep going in circles, read everything on a page, put it back. I also think that this is my fault because I copy pasted a lot of elements. So the order of things on the page is not the order that it would seem. For example, the first heading is not the first element on the page. I think this one is. So there's a lot of back and forth. So I'm going to stop it here, but you can see what it did, right? If we resize this to, have a more bigger size, it has the citations here. I don't necessarily want it to have citations, but again, I did not prompt for that. We can see that this is already pretty reasonable, right? It's scary how good it is at doing this with just a simple prompt, right? So you can see that these are examples, right? Because again, I did tell it that examples was slide 3. But then here, do we have examples too? Yes, it repeated the examples from the previous slide, right? So that's another question, which is when things fail, how do they fail, right? Does it, for example, repeat the examples in the 2 slides? Is it going to delete one of the slides? Is it going to just output complete garbage in the other slide? In this case, I think it did the most reasonable thing possible that you could expect, which is it filled the examples on the 2 slides, which is pretty good, right? And you can also see that we have so many overlapping elements that sometimes when I want to click one thing, I click another element. So a lot of the problems that ChatGPT had while navigating this could also be because of the way that I have, the size of these text boxes and elements that are intersecting with each other, right? But I'm going to consider this a success, right? It duplicated the lesson, renamed the lesson, it included the new content and did it for hedge funds instead of banks. And everything else, either I did not prompt for it or I prompted the wrong way, so that's on me, but complete success.